Welcome to the second part of how to eat for fat loss. This is part of my series, The Daily Thought. If you've watched the videos and found anything that was useful, please subscribe to the channel. And now we are going to go into how to eat to make fat loss easy. And the first thing that you want to have in mind is that fat loss is not super easy, right? Essentially, it's pretty simple. You have to be in a calorie deficit, but the way you design it is definitely going to make it easier or harder. And at the end of the day, like the number of calories that you are eating is going to have a very significant impact on your ability to lose body fat or not. And so what it means is you want to make it easy for yourself to eat in a calorie deficit without really noticing. And very often you can have two very, very similar foods that take up pretty much the exact same space inside your body, but they don't have the same amount of calories. This is something that can happen between brands, but then also depending on how the food was produced. And one example of that would simply be if you eat a chicken breast with or without the skin. Like without the skin is going to be much leaner, which means that you're going to eat less fat. Fat is the macronutrient that gives you the most amount of calories. But when you are eating a chicken breast with the skin, like the quantity of chicken breast is not really changing. There's like a very thin layer on top of the meat, like no pun intended, of the meat of what you are eating, but it doesn't make any difference. Like it's so small, you don't really notice it. But in terms of calories and the amount of energy that you get in, it is definitely making a fairly big difference. And so to illustrate that, I'm going to show you 3 different products. In that case, it's like dairy-based product that, they take the exact same space in your belly, but they have different calorie content. And then at the end of the day, it does make a difference, because if you eat the exact same amount of food, but on one side you are consuming like 200 calories less, yet the volume is still the same, then it's going to be way easier for you to maintain a calorie deficit and create a calorie deficit than if you eat like the same volume of food, but you consume like 200 calories more. 200 calories is 10% of 2000 calories. And this is something like, this is definitely a range where a lot of women will need to go below in order to create a calorie deficit. And trust me, 10% difference in your calorie intake at the end of the day is going to make a massive difference. And if you can have that without increasing your hunger, because you get more volume, then it's going to be much easier to be in that calorie deficit. So here you can see 3 different dairy products. This one is Skyr. It's basically like a high protein yogurt with a Scandinavian recipe. This one is just a yogurt, and I think it's full fat. And this one is a protein pudding. And when you look at the food label on the back, then this one for 100 grams gives you 77 calories. This one gives you 66 calories, and this one gives you only 56. And so for me, in my post-workout shake, it's not really a shake because it's made out of yogurt, but post-workout meal, then I eat 450 grams of that. I tend to mix some of those just for texture and taste. But now there are per 100 gram, 20 calories different between those two. So you multiply that by 10 and you already have like 80 calories of difference. 80 calories is 20 grams of carbs. So imagine eating the exact same amount of food, but then you have 80 calories of difference at the end of the day. Now, there are two things that are super important. The first one is I really don't want to make it sound like calories are bad, because it's not the case. Okay, it's not about like calories are bad and we want to have them as low as possible. This is absolutely not what I'm saying. I'm simply saying, like, in a fat loss phase, you try to be in a calorie deficit, which means you eat less calories than what you burn, and this is what leads to fat loss. And for the specific goal of a fat loss phase, then this is what's needed, period. There's no judgment, there's no like, it's great to eat less calories or that sort of things. This is bullshit. It's not what I'm saying. But then the other thing is, I had a client that was such an interesting exercise, a personal training client, and he came to me and he gained 20 kilo of body fat over the course of 10 years. 20 kilo, that's 45 pounds. And we calculated the daily calorie surplus that he had to be in order to put on 20 kilo of body fat over the course of 10 years, and that was 45 calories. So I just show you the difference of choosing one yogurt over the other one. It makes, at the end of the day, a difference of 80 calories. So you repeat that over 20 years. Even if your goal is simply to maintain your weight, then just making that change between those two foods might be the difference between maintaining your weight perfectly or gaining a significant amount of weight over a long period of time. So to make your fat loss easy, then you have to be aware of that, and you want to choose the food that's going to give you less calories per a bigger volume.